So welcome back to the Dogs and Deadlifts podcast. So super excited to have Erica Noseworthy on the podcast today. Welcome, Erica.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you guys.
Look, as I mentioned earlier, I appreciate you finding the time. I know it's in the evening there. It's early here in Australia, so just
Yeah,
appreciate you finding the time to come on and have a chat.
absolutely. I appreciate you guys having me. I'm excited.
Yeah. So, before we get into the nitty gritties around training and things like that, for my audience, can they probably are not familiar with you or a lot of weight pool, etc. But can you just give them a little bit of an introduction on yourself? You're welcome to go back as far as you like or as little as you like, but just so we have a bit of an understanding of a little bit of who you are.
Sure. My name is Erica Noseworthy. I am a judge for many weight pool organizations here in the United States, including the ADBA, the UPF, the APA. I have been in pit bulls for over 10 years. I'm also currently a big weight pool competitor. I've competed at just about every national you can think of last year. And that's really kind of my main sport is weight pool. And it's really a lifestyle of mine that I've come to grow to love.
Yeah, awesome. So on that, how does one just stumble across weight pull, as a sport, or how did you stumble across that?
So I had seen it in videos before online, and then I had bully breeds. I started with shelter like type dogs, so
Mhm.
they were called quote unquote pit bulls, but they were just bully breed mixes that I had got from the shelter, and I had seen weight pull. And I thought, wow, that's really something that I'd like to get into, especially because a lot of my dogs did not enjoy other dogs. And it's a nice like one-on-one with the handler kind of thing. Your dog can really any dog can do it. It can be human aggressive, dog aggressive, um, and still be pretty successful in weight pool. So I Googled it and I'm one of the lucky people. There's actually a weight pool club that is relatively close to me. It's like an hour and a half away. And I went there and I went to one of their practices and I was hooked.
Yeah.
And then I started going to weight pools pretty regularly, like local pools, not big organizations like I do now, more like smaller ones that were a little easier on competitors. Um, and then I actually met more people and kind of grew in the sport myself and began training a little more to be competitive in the sport.
Yeah, yeah,
So
awesome.
I was pretty fortunate that I had access to a club that was local to me.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And I guess, one of the driving factors to, have you on the podcast today was to help spread the word, particularly here in Australia. We are very limited in regards to our weight pool. So certainly, wanted to have you here. In saying that, I have listeners in the US and the UK as well. But, so we just wanted to, I guess, come on, have a chat about weight pool benefits. We'll talk about a number of different things, training and things like that very shortly, but really just wanted to create some awareness and, around what you do, how you go about it. As you mentioned, all breeds can do it, so really just create a bit of a buzz if possible.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. Absolutely.
So over the years, have I guess have how have you seen the sport, I guess, develop and also get more awareness and because look, I'll be honest with you, here in Australia, the pit bull is banned, illegal in some states and some areas, but we won't focus on the negatives. We'll focus on the positives. So how have you seen the progression, let's just say over the last 5 years to where you are today? Well,
So, me personally, I have grown leaps and bounds over the
mhm.
past 5 years, the sport. So, as many of you may not know, I am sponsored by Bully Max Dog Food Company,
Mhm,
and they have helped our sport grow tremendously. A lot of people just don't understand a lot about weight pull,
mhm,
and they kind of frown upon it. But Bully Max has really just done a fabulous job of showing us and the partnership with our dogs, and the bond that we have with our dogs, which is why they do weight pull for us. Um, and they, over the past 2 years, I've been sponsored. This is my second year being sponsored. They have helped the sport grow leaps and bounds.
mhm,
Um, and I have seen the sport grow. It's still even really kind of not so big over here. Like, honestly, until Bully Max came on the scene and really started filming us, it was still kind of underground here. Like,
mhm,
there, it's a very small, like, kind of, click sport. And you're either in with the people or you're not.
mhm.
And sorry, my puppy.
Oh, good.
Um and so it was underground a little bit. But now, like I said, Bully Max has really done a fabulous job of, like, really showing the positive light
Mhm,
of weight pull. And people like me getting out there, like, I love weight pull because it is for every dog. It is
mhm,
for every person. Um, it's not expensive. Like, I've done just about every dog sport you can think of, and it's expensive to train a lot of dog sports. Weight pool, really, all you need is a harness and a big grass area to drag in,
mhm,
and you can be successful in weight pool. So it is one of my favorite things. And then, like I said before, you can have a dog that doesn't really care for other people, that doesn't like other dogs, and still be really successful in weight pool with that dog. Whereas a lot of sports, you can't do that.
mhm.
So it is great to see the popularity of weight pool being, shed in a positive light by Bully Max and by other people. It's just so great.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm going to give a shout out to Bully Max as well. And if you're listening to this podcast, there are some fantastic, and I mean like frigging fantastic YouTube videos that they've got in regards to promotion that they've done, and they're amazing, right? They are bringing it into this element of and this 2026, 2025, and they're amazing videos.
They Yes, and they, like I said, they're really, they're showing the elegant side of it.
Hmm.
Like, I love my dogs and my dogs love me. That's the only reason why they pull.
Hmm.
I I have a great bond with my dogs. And they do what I ask them, and it's great to see that a lot of people think it's, you're forcing the dog. You can't force the dog to pull by any stretch of the means. My dogs do it simply because they have heart and they love me.
Yeah.
And so Bully Max, I do feel, is truly highlighting that for a lot of us that are competing in the sport.
Yeah, for sure. And I just want to take a little step back because you mentioned, harnesses. And, at one point, maybe it must have been maybe 3 years ago or something like that, I reached out to some harness makers in the States. And they were there was minimal, right? So it was through a
There
friend of
still
a
is
friend.
minimal. It's definitely hard to get a harness. It is still minimal. It's
And
very tough.
I think I waited 3 months for it to be made in the wait list, and then to come to then to be posted to Australia. So it was quite it was quite a bit of a
Quite
bit
a
of,
while.
yeah, for sure. And that was and that I believe that maker was no longer making harnesses, etc. So I guess that's obviously, whilst it's a low barrier entry, finding a good harness maker that would work with you, etc. Are you open? Do you have a particular harness maker, or do you have some recommendations for our listeners to potentially reach out to?
Yes. So the harness maker that I recommend is actually Leanne. She does Max Performance Harnesses. She's based out of Texas.
Hmm.
Um, that is who is currently making my harnesses. Also, Missy with Brown Dog
Yep.
Designs harnesses. She's been in the game a long time. Um, both of those, and again, they are backed up. There is not very many people that make good harnesses, even over here. Trust and believe. Those are the only two people that I would trust to harness my dogs.
Yep.
Um, and then there is a lady, I do believe, I think she's in the UK. I'm not really sure. I want to say it's called SMT
That's correct. Yeah.
harnesses. I think, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
She also, I have never personally used one of her harnesses, but I
Mm-hmm.
have seen people that have bought them, and they do appear to be a good quality product, and I would order from her as well.
Yeah.
But in all honesty, it's tough. And you gotta wait.
Mm-hmm.
So I keep harnesses. If I see used harnesses for sale that are like around about weights I need, I keep, I'll pick them up for puppies or
Mm-hmm.
whatever, because it is tough to get harnesses.
Yeah,
100%.
for sure. And that was, I think I got my original one from, I think, Jimmy Allen or something like that, and,
Oh
you know,
yeah, Jimmy Allen hasn't made harnesses in a long time.
that's right. So, but once again, I think I waited 6 months, right, for that to,
Right, yeah.
you know, so, that's, like I
It's
said,
not quite that bad, but you can expect to wait 3 months for a harness right now.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
However, they're going to last a lifetime, right? And,
Yeah, I have harnesses that are old, and I have friends that have harnesses that are 20 years old. As long as you take good care of them, they last forever.
yeah, for sure. And just on that, my personal opinion is, if you're pulling, 1,000 pounds plus, you want good quality equipment, right?
Absolutely. And so what I normally do is I keep harnesses, and then so I use them while the dog is training. And then once I do believe that the dog is trained
Hmm.
is when I order them like their harness,
Hmm.
because you do, like you say, you're pulling 1,000 plus pounds. You do want a properly fitted harness.
Hmm.
So what I do is I just kind of use what I have until the dog is pretty close to being ready to trial. And then I will go ahead and order them. And then by the time, hopefully, that I'm trialing that dog, they're pretty close to their harness being made.
Yeah, awesome. And the other thing is, harnesses these days come in, they can so much. They're really cool. They can come in colors,
Oh
embroidery.
yeah, especially Leanne, she can like print anything you want on the side. Like
Hmm.
if I'm like, "Hey Leanne, put flying pigs on the side of this," they can print things on the nylon. It's incredible what they can put on there. So
Yeah.
anything you can think of, they'll do it.
For sure. So, what I was just thinking was don't compromise. If you're out there listening to this podcast, is that don't compromise on your harness. Wait, speak to a,
Wait
speak.
the time and get a good one. Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. So I just want to, sort of segue a little bit. Sometimes I do that. We get a bit excited and we get a segue.
Absolutely. I'm the
uh,
worst one with that, so I feel you.
so what dogs have you got at the moment competing? And I guess I'd like to know that, and for our listeners, but then also, just what how you start a young dog, or if you're open to it, what sort of an average training like plan in your, that you follow, or what you're open to sharing, what it looks like. Mm.
Absolutely. So right now in weight pool, I currently have just a regular game bred American Pit Bull Terrier. His name's Killshot.
Mhm.
He just turned a year old in December. He went to a couple nationals last year. Did very well, especially considering he had just turned 9 months.
Yeah.
Um, I do have a weight pool bred dog, which you guys probably don't have over there. So over here in the States, we actually have like pit bulls that people have taken and specifically bred for form and strength.
Mhm.
I have a weight pool bred dog. People know me a lot for that dog. His name's Apex. He's black. I then also have a dog that I bred from my UKC lines. She's not the best weight puller.
Mhm.
I just kind of do it because she kind of needs a job, because otherwise she'll get in trouble. She's not the greatest competitor. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I don't. But she's not horrible either.
Mhm.
Um, but her name's Lumi. She just turned 2. And then I have a Presa Canario puppy. She's like 7 months, and I am so excited for her season. She looks so great. And like, and so a lot of us are doing big dogs this year. A lot of us
Awesome.
like are bringing the big dogs back. It used to be like it was, mostly pit bulls and like your
Yeah.
40 to like 60-pound dogs. And a lot of us top competitors over here have gotten back into big dogs this year. And my Presa She's like 7 months old. I think she's pushing 70 pounds. I don't think she's going to be super huge,
Mhm.
maybe like 90, 95. But she looks so great. Like, I'm super excited for her career this year to start. Her form is great. She's got a lot of heart. She's doing really well in the drag field.
Mhm.
I'm just really looking forward. And then, so I do a little bit of bite work as well.
Yeah.
And the gentleman that I do bite work with had a litter of puppies
Mhm.
when I was coming to class, and there was just a puppy that spoke to me. And her, so I bought her. Her name is Byron. Don't ask about the name. We know it's a whole long story, but and Byron actually, she is about 5.5 months old. And she's been training, and she looks really great too. So she'll be coming out this year. She's also an American Pit Bull Terrier, just a game bred dog.
Mhm.
Um, so those are typically the dogs that I compete in weight pool with.
Mhm.
The dogs I drag is a little bit more because I do have some ADBA top dogs. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the top dog competition.
So I'd love for you to explain it to most of my listeners. Like I am, but I'd love for you if that's okay.
Okay, yep.
Mhm.
So Top Dog is a
Mhm.
sanctioned ADBA event, and UPF also has it as well. And it's called the Triple Crown through UPF. And so your dog competes in 3 events in a day. It is typically wall climb, treadmill race, and lure course.
Mhm.
Um, and you get a score for each one of those events as long as your dog does them and completes them.
Mhm.
And you can win each event individually, and then you are competing for an overall top dog. For UPF does have height divisions, ADBA does not currently. I wish they would get them,
Mhm.
but and so you are competing for overall top dog in your height division. I really love Top Dog. And so I do drag my dogs for weight pool for fitness for that.
Yep.
And that is one of the many benefits of weight pool in general is just general fitness. So weight pool is a very low impact, no stress on the joints. You can't force the dog into a pull form.
Mhm.
Um, and it's just very low impact, low drive. So a dog isn't going to be like super like in high drive when you're dragging or doing weight pull. So they have very little chance to injure themselves because I know when my dogs are in really high drive, they act crazy. Um, so that is one of the things that I do use dragging for and weight pull as well.
Mhm.
Um, the dog that I am currently top dogging the most right now, she is the national weight pull champion. She won ADBA weight pull nationals for her class, 55 to 65 pound females. And now, so after she did that and she got her ace title, now I kind of stopped doing that and then changed over and kind of went the top dog route with her just to do something else, a title or in something else.
Mhm.
As far as weight pool training goes, I start my puppies as early as I can.
Yep.
So 7, 8 weeks, they're in a harness. They don't have nothing attached to the back. They're just running around. I have food. Um, I call them to me. They're just kind of running around, getting a feel for the harness.
Yep.
After they do that for, I don't know, about 3, 4 days, and they're pretty consistent. They're pretty used to it. They're not trying to bite the back of the harness anymore. I do attach a very small chain. Um, and typically, what I do, which makes my life easier, is I take one of my adults that's like bulletproof trained.
Mhm.
Um, and I drag that dog and I just let the puppy follow. So the puppy is just kind of running around while that dog is dragging with the chain attached.
Mhm.
And again, I do that for 3 or 4 days until they kind of get that concept. And it's just learning from, visualizing, like they see what I'm doing. They're getting into the pattern of every night we put this harness on, we go to this field.
Yep.
It's just all comes down to muscle memory. This is our job. We put this harness on, we go to this field.
Mhm.
Um, Once they've done that for a few days, I do stop with the adult dog and I put a leash on them and I do use treats because I would not go to work for no paycheck. Um, and so once they are on a leash, I do not let them like kind of explore nothing. Like at that point is when we start teaching them, like, nope, when we have this harness on, we move forward. And then I do stop them and start them regularly. Um, and I just continue again, muscle memory. When we have this on, we move forward. I do always make sure that the puppies are well pottied before we go to work because I don't want them stopping to use the bathroom. I don't want them ever learning that stopping in that harness unless I've said so is an option.
Hmm.
Um, so, and then we just kind of start adding weight from there.
Yeah.
Normally, I just start with a very minuscule amount of weight. It might be a pound, it might be a pound and a quarter.
Hmm.
They drag it. Once they drag that for a week, we go up.
Yeah.
And depending on what the dog's doing. So, a lot of people, one of their issues is they worry about the weight itself.
Yeah.
Like, how many pounds is the dog dragging?
Hmm.
Never anyone that is competitive in weight pool cares about the weight itself.
Yep.
I don't care if the dog is dragging 22 pounds or the dog is dragging 85 pounds. What I'm looking at is the dog's effort.
Yes.
So in your field versus my field, so in my field, they keep the grass cut really low.
Hmm.
So, that's less resistance. It's easier drag. But in your field, your grass might be thicker. It might actually be good grass and not just weeds and things. And so I never worry about weight. And I think
Hmm.
that is one thing with a lot of people is like, oh, well, he's only dragging. I don't care about pounds. I don't care about numbers. I look at the dog's effort solely. Is
Hmm.
the dog in form? Is the dog working hard? Does the dog look like he's struggling? And so that is basically how I gauge my puppies.
Hmm.
So again, I go up very little, maybe a pound and a quarter a week on the
Hmm.
puppies.
Yeah.
And they don't even notice it. Trust me, they just continue to run.
Hmm.
So my little Byron puppy that's actually running around being a problem right now, she's about 22 pounds and she drags a 22-pound plate.
Hmm.
Um, but she runs with it.
Yeah.
Like, so she could really do more, but I don't want to. She's also super young, so I don't want to force a lot on her. But so again, we don't so much look at the pounds as we do the dog's effort.
Hmm.
People always want to ask me, well, how much do you drag?
Yep.
I can't really tell you how much I drag because if it rained last night and the grass is wet, I drag more that day because
Yes.
there's less friction. You know what
Yep.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
Um, and I'm just steady looking at my dogs. I
Yep.
know my dogs. And so that's the difference is like, I know my dogs through and through. I know what they look like when they're struggling. I know what they look like before they're about to give out on me.
Hmm.
I know what they look like when they're breathing stuff. So you really need to know your dog. And consistency is key with weight pool. So
Yeah.
with puppies, we drag them every day. If it's
Yep.
raining outside, Byron goes outside to drag
Yeah.
because there's been times when I've went to an outdoor weight pool and it was raining
Hmm.
and everyone's dog was shutting down because it was raining, right? Not my dog, right?
Yep.
Now, when they get older and they are trained, I trust and believe I don't want to get wet, right?
Hmm.
So like I don't drag my dogs in the rain, but um and then so I do vary my workouts.
Hmm.
So I do like a heavy day and a light day. Um, and then, so if you continue to drag really heavy and like do that multiple times a week, the dog will start to get just tired, just burnt
Hmm.
out. Just like if
Yep.
you went to work every day and it was like a crap day at work,
Yep.
you would get super burnt out of your job, right?
Hmm.
So I do vary my days, and I do also treadmill my dogs quite a bit as well.
Yeah.
One for the cardio, and two just for the stress relief.
Yep.
Um, just to keep those muscles activated and that blood flowing, I do treadmill my dogs a bit. I have a slat mill and I have two carpet mills. I do tend to use the carpet mills more.
Yep.
For weight pool, carpet mills are more beneficial.
Yep.
So I do tend to use those more.
Yep.
But again, workouts vary time to time, day and day. I can't say that I have a set way that I do things. It's
Mhm.
it's what is presented to me in that day. I
Yeah.
do the dog in front of me
Yep.
every time. And
Yep.
I look at my dogs and I figure out what my dogs are telling me, and I kind of go from there.
Yeah. Awesome.
But I do start them young.
Yeah.
And then it is one of the most important things too is rest days,
Hmm.
right? So
Hmm.
we have time off during the week from our day job. They should also have rest days.
Yeah.
So for instance, last night I worked my dogs pretty hard. Today is their rest day. They don't have to do anything today. And then because I worked them so hard last night, tomorrow I might treadmill and then the next day I might have a light day.
Mhm.
And then, I might do a heavy day.
Yeah. Yeah, awesome. Look, 100%, everything you're talking about, I'm on the same page. I love it. I love it. And well, I'd like to talk about treadmills in a moment, but I've just had a partnership with Firepaw, and we'll talk about that in a moment. But
Absolutely.
just sort of to recap, having an understanding of your dog is, and the rate of
It's
their,
key.
yeah, and their, what you sort of, just to recap, the terminology I use is, understanding their rate of perceived exertion, or, the effort that they're
Correct.
putting in, you know,
Yes, I use the word effort, but yes,
yeah.
absolutely.
So same, but a little bit different, but
Same,
100%.
same. Yep.
And that's all what I'm trying to promote as part of my philosophy, and getting people to use understand how these things work, and if we talk about it more, such as this podcast, someone listens to it, and they start thinking about efforts and exertions, and and the fact that long grass is going to have a different to short grass, or to sand, or to dirt, that's going to create different resistance.
Dry grass, right.
Hmm.
All
For
that
sure.
stuff has to play in if it's been dry and it hasn't rained. All
Yeah.
that stuff is going to play in to
Mhm.
your resistance.
Yeah. And
Also, what you're dragging.
mhm.
So I drag a tire.
Yep.
There's a lot of people that drag chains and window weights. I drag
Yep.
a tire. I was taught by Emmanuel, and he drags a tire. And he's one of the best weight pool competitors in the country. And so I do what he says.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so I drag a tire, and they do tend to have a lot more resistance than your chains and your window weights. I
Mhm.
do know some other people that are extremely successful in weight pool that drag chains and window weights, but
Yep.
again, all that plays a factor in what your dog is, like you said, your rate of exertion.
Mhm. Yep. Yep.
So it's just very important to know your dog.
For sure. And I also love the fact that, you talked about rest days and recovery, because it's something that, I'm once again just trying to get out and get people to understand. I had a client just recently, so she was training 6 days a week with her dog, and it was,
Yeah,
it was
that's a lot.
yeah, obedience, bite work, strength, meals, like all this stuff. And she wasn't we looked at the dog and the schedule that she was on, and sometimes tour days, and there was no improvement in one particular area, or minimal improvement, but there was no rest and recovery either. So I believe that burnt out or overtraining is something that occurs, right?
100%. And then, so I will say this too.
Mm.
So I do try to focus on, so I prefer to focus on one venue at a time with a dog.
Yep.
So if I have a dog, I think in my mind, this dog is going to do weight pull,
Hmm.
right? Once I have achieved what I want to achieve in weight pull, then I move on to the next thing. Now, mills don't really count because I do use the mills in the weight pull conditioning,
Hmm.
but like I said, with my one young female, she's an ace. She won first place at nationals. She's not really going to accomplish much more in weight pull.
Hmm.
And so now I've switched over to Top Dog. You can burn them out. You can do a lot. I'm not saying that you can't do obedience, and that sort of thing, but doing a lot of physical things is exhausting. Like I
Hmm.
own 11 dogs, and I'm a mother of two,
Hmm.
and I am exhausted, right? I am
Yeah.
physically exerted.
Mhm.
And so a lot of days I'm just like, oh man, I don't have any more left. And so the dogs also feel like that.
Yeah, for sure.
So you gotta kind of pick and choose what you want to focus on, and then give the appropriate rest days. 100%. They totally get burnt out.
Mhm.
Just like we as humans, like I said, I know I get burnt out. If I went to work every day for 2 weeks straight, I would be burnt out.
Yeah, for sure.
And with my adult dogs, when I am dragging my adult dogs, so for instance, my weight pool bred black dog, Apex, he only drags every other day
Mhm.
because I think that a rest day is that important.
For sure. So, do you? I'm going to ask a question. We're going to sort of circle back around, which I love doing. Um,
Absolutely.
so, part of what I'm trying to talk about to people is around rest and recovery. However, the bottom of that, like I designed a pyramid, and we're going to go to Bully Max here for nutrition, right? Nutrition and hydration.
Absolutely. Nutrition is key. You don't see bodybuilders eating crap.
Yeah.
And that is what we are trying to do.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Nutrition is key. My dogs are on a lot of supplements.
Hmm.
And I do feel like that is key. One of the most important supplements that I feel like I give is a pro and prebiotic.
Okay.
So I don't care how much money you spend on food. I don't care how much money you spend on other supplements. If your gut biome is off, you are not getting everything that that product has to offer.
Hmm.
So I truly feel like a pro and prebiotic are one of the most important things you can give a dog.
Yeah.
And then also a good joint supplement. So your MSN, your glucosamine, all of that stuff supports joints, ligaments, muscles, all of that plays a role.
Yeah.
My dogs are also on things for nails, for nail health.
Hmm.
Nails are a huge part of weight pull, and people do not realize this.
Hmm.
I spend a lot of time on nails, like a crazy amount of time on nails.
Yeah.
My weight pull dogs do have long nails. That is the downfall of the sport. I
Hmm.
am a dog groomer. That is what I do for a living. And some of my dogs have really long nails. But nails are very important. The dogs do use their nails. We do sharpen their nails with the Dremel before every pull. Even if it's a local one at the house, we still do it.
Hmm.
Because they do learn how to use their feet to hook into carpet.
Hmm.
Um, so nail health is so important. Like I have my dogs on a supplement for nail health. I have my dogs on multiple muscle supplements. Bully Max provides me with a bunch of muscle supplements. Bully Max supplements are great. It's a lot of BCAs,
Hmm.
some creatine, and that sort of thing. My dogs are on quite a bit of supplements, and like I said, but I feel like one of the most important ones is your pro and prebiotic.
Yeah, for sure. And just on that gut biome, I'm really nerdy and love that sort of stuff as well. And I interviewed someone last year around the development of the studies around gut biome and also the learning ability of the gut brain axis and how not just in sports or with performance athletes like general obedience and behavioral issues, etc., can be have benefits from getting our nutrition and the gut right.
Absolutely. Some anxieties and things can be
Hmm.
caused in the gut. I know a lot. So your immune system and your digestive tract in dogs go
Hmm.
hand in hand. So
Hmm.
if you're having skin problems, a lot of times a probiotic will help you out. And so the gut biome is super important, especially with our Whipple dogs. We do put them under very stressful situations. And that is when your gut gets screwy, you know. So it is it's super important to make sure that you are taking care of every aspect of the animal.
For sure. And sorry, my mind jumps all over the place, but I love this conversation.
No, that's okay.
And then for me, leading to the central nervous system as well. So we're having an impact on the central nervous system when we're doing pulling or that high intensity stuff as well. So that sort of for me rolls into more in regards to recovery and replenishment.
Making sure the body gets what it needs when it needs it. Absolutely. And there are times that I give my supplements, like I tend to feed my dogs in the evening. I tend to give most of my supplements in the evening after the workout because the
Mhm.
blood is pumping, and that is when the muscles and the dog's body are really craving the recovery.
Yeah, for sure. So, obviously, we're the thing I just wanted to touch on as well. So, if you're an Aussie or Australian and you're listening to this, it must have been last year. Just I don't know whether Bully Max supplements can be shipped to Australia or not, but I had from a different company a whole heap of supplements confiscated by our government on the way in. So, certainly,
Really?
yeah, 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 yeah. Um, and I never got the refund. I never got anything. But I'd love to at some point potentially reach out to Bully Max and see if some of our Aussie customers can, number one if they ship, and number two if
Absolutely. I will
mm,
talk
mm,
to the
mm,
owner of Bully Max and see if we can get you guys
mm,
on the like I said, I use every one of their supplements. My dogs eat their food.
mhm.
And my dogs look like $1 million, and they perform like $1 million. So I will definitely talk to Bully Max and see about shipping things
Mhm.
to Australia for you guys.
Thank you. Appreciate that. So
No problem.
I guess, just a couple more questions around the weight pool before we sort
Sure.
of jump into, some slat mills stuff as well. So, you've developed your young puppy, you've progressed them very, as you see fit. You've pretty much got a customized program for each dog, depending on their, obviously their size, their temperament, et cetera, et cetera. When do you, I guess, transition from to a cart or to a sled, or what's sort of your philosophy around that?
Yeah. So our philosophy, and actually I got this from a manual because our philosophy has kind of changed.
Yeah.
So it used to be that I would take really young puppies and expose them to the track,
Hmm.
which I do still do.
Hmm.
But I do not put any weight on them.
Hmm.
So when I talk about really young puppies, so I take a young puppy, 16 weeks old, and I put the harness on him and I just let him run up and down the track.
Hmm.
Um, Typically now I wait. So I think a lot of times we get caught up, everything is so fast paced. And I think a lot of times we get caught up in rushing everything.
Hmm.
Um, and so before, I feel like we were a little just rushed to get dogs on the track, rushed to get dogs on weight on the track. And I've kind of changed my perception of that. And now I'm waiting till dogs are 6 months old.
Hmm.
Um, so what happens is dogs, you cannot force form on a dog,
Hmm.
right? They're going to move weight the way they see fit. You cannot change form, you cannot alter form. I have a dog that has more heart and more strength than you can imagine, but she pulls really straight legged in the front. And so she's not super great. But I cannot change that. It's just not something that I can do.
Hmm.
But what we are seeing more now is we are rushing puppies. And so I find that in the field, everything is more natural. It's more relaxed. I'm more relaxed. The dog's more relaxed. You're just in a grass field. What could be more relaxing?
Hmm.
Normally, when I go out and drag my dogs, it is my peace at the end of the day. There is nothing in the world like putting your headphones in and taking your dogs out and dragging them.
Hmm.
Um, so I have found that if you continue to go up in weight, like I had kind of said earlier with your puppies, they
Hmm.
kind of lock a form in,
Hmm.
right? And they kind of genuinely take to that form. Where if you rush puppies and you put them on a track at a very early age, they want to do because puppies want to please, right? They're little sponges. They just want to do what you ask them to do.
Hmm.
Um, and so I think they get so frantic to move the weight. And us as humans, we're like, yeah, add a little more. He did that really well. And subconsciously, you know what I'm saying? No
Yeah.
one wants to shut their puppy down or do it, but you see your dog doing really good, and you're like, yeah, put a little more on there
Yeah, like,
because it's just human nature. Yeah, like, it's just human nature. And I think that is where mistakes happen.
Mhm.
And so like my Pressa, I waited till she was 6.5 months old. She had never seen a track. I
Mhm.
put her on a track. She was a superstar.
Yeah.
So it used to be before I did take younger puppies, and just like have them pull the empty cart or have them pull a drag sled.
Mhm.
Honestly, excuse me,
Mhm.
my outlook on that has changed now, and I'm just strictly doing everything in the field up until 6 months old, and then we'll start to talk about track practice. And there are other people that have way different opinions, and way different views.
Mhm.
This is just what I have found, to be beneficial to me.
Yeah.
And the way my training program, the way I train dogs goes, is I don't want to feel rushed. I don't want to be in a hurry to put a puppy on a track. I
Mhm.
don't, you know, and like I said, a lot of times I think it has to do with form.
Mhm.
Brian Hosfeld is a wonderful man. He is a great mentor of mine. And I'm going to tell you right now, he puts puppies on the track young and
Mhm.
he's got it mastered. I don't know how he does it, but like something that he does, you'll have to talk to him because
Mhm.
something with his program is top notch. Like he has it mastered. He's got it down to a science how to start a puppy on a track. That is not me. That's why I say.
Yeah.
So everyone is going to be different. And I have found, like I said, I tend to rush more when
Mhm.
I go to put puppies on the track. And so I've kind of pumped the brakes on that and I've taken a step back and I'm not putting puppies on the track till 6.5, 7 months.
Yeah, yeah, and I think look, you're not the only one. Like I think the
Right.
society that we are today, post COVID, etc. There's a number of
Everything's fast paced.
100%, and whether it's weight pull or slap mills or just working military police dogs, etc., raising them, we tend to put a lot of stress on and expectations on them as a young puppy, right? So, you know,
Absolutely.
and
I
we
find that a lot of people are washing puppies when they're super young. And,
yeah,
even like you said, even like military dogs, a lot of those guys wash dogs before they even get a chance to be themselves, to find out
mm-hmm,
who they are as a dog.
100%.
And so I think that is also what happens to us in weight pool. Is it just everything is fast paced. And like you said, even with slap mills and stuff, I
Mm,
had dogs that didn't want to run a slap mill, and I just kept trying and making it positive and making it positive, and now they're crazy on there.
yeah, for sure.
So
And I've currently got a Malinois, a year and a half a year and a half old Malinois, and he was washed out after a week from a government department.
yeah,
Just but
and
since
he's probably insane.
he's a monster, but no,
Yeah,
they didn't give him, didn't give him the time. He didn't bond with anyone. There's lots of variables around that, and now he's crazy, and he's bonded with me, and I'm like, oh, what am I going to do now?
right. Yeah, now
But
you're gonna find something to do with this dog.
that's right. Having the time, taking the time to bond, develop, in this, we're all impatient. I know, I get it, right? But certainly,
Yes, absolutely.
it has its benefits, though.
Especially when you get excited about a dog. So that's the thing too. Like, so again, we have like weight pool bred dogs
Yep.
here in the United States.
Yep.
And so if you get a dog from really good weight pool lines, right, you
Hmm.
get
Hmm.
so excited about it, right? Because you're
Yep.
like, oh, this dog's going to have great form. It's going to be super strong. And then you do tend to rush them.
Yeah.
And so, like I said, I've kind of taken a step back and I'm just kind of like, yeah, well, we'll wait and see.
Hmm.
And so it definitely worked with my Pressa, like I said. And my Pressa is not obviously a weight pool bred dog. She's a Pressa Canario.
Hmm.
And the first time I put her on the track, I was pleasantly surprised.
Awesome.
Um, she knew exactly what to do. She had great form. She was happy. She wasn't stressed. And so I definitely think I'm going to kind of stick to that routine with the puppies.
Yeah, awesome, awesome. So I just wanted to, I just had a quick look at the time, and I'm like, we're almost running out of time already.
I know.
So I just wanted to finish, the last few moments, just to talk about slap meals. Like I said, I've been using slap meals for a number of years myself, but we're seeing an emergence, emerging, not just a trend, but we're seeing, a lot of slap meals pop up in regards to businesses and, these mobile dog gyms and some more awareness around around slap mills. I absolutely love them, and like I said, I've got a partnership with Firepaw at the moment. I know they've been around for quite some time, but they're just sort of becoming more and more mainstream. And obviously you mentioned it earlier that you use them for a number of different things, but yeah, can you talk a little bit about your introduction to those and just a little bit more about how you not just incorporate into your fitness for your weight pull dogs as well, how they sort of sit overall in your program?
Absolutely. So slap mills, actually, I don't use a whole lot in my weight pool program.
Okay.
So I do have a slap mill. So let me explain this to you guys. So when I get a puppy, I always start them on the slap mill, right? Because it's super easy to turn. It's super positive. I put puppies on the slap mill at 8 weeks, the same as I introduce them to the harness.
Mhm.
We do not have puppies run on the slap mill for a long time. Um, and then, so I use the slap mill to teach a dog to run a treadmill.
Mhm.
A carpet mill is really your bread and butter for your weight pull dogs. Um, Carpet mills. So this is how I always explain slap mill versus carpet mill to people. Slap mill gives you wind and takes weight off. So slap mill is great for cardio, and it is great if you're trying to cut weight classes or lean a dog out to say.
Mhm.
Your carpet mill is gives you cardio, but it also builds bulk muscle, the same as dragging. So I do tend to use a carpet mill more, but I have a slat mill because again, it teaches the puppies very easily what a mill is about. It's easy to turn. It's super positive. I start putting my puppies on the slat mill at a very young age, and I try to do it like twice a day for maybe a minute, right? So I put my puppies on there. I'm happy calling them. If it's a super food driven puppy, I will have treats available for after. Um, and it's just a super positive experience. But again, my end goal for my slat mill on my weight pull dogs is to transition them over to the carpet mill and have them run the carpet mill the same they do the slat mill.
Yep.
Now, I do have dogs that run slat mills that win slat mill races, and I love slat mills. But for my personal conditioning purposes, the carpet mill is my bread and butter. Carpet mills are very hard to turn. And we can almost simulate drag work in the house with a carpet mill. For instance, where I live, you guys probably don't have snow
No,
very much.
not very much. Certainly not here in
Okay,
my state.
okay, yeah. So where I live, we do get a winter, and a lot of times there is snow on the ground outside. We don't drag the dogs in snow, just because a lot of times in Maryland it gets warm during the day and then it freezes again at night and it makes ice. It's not just like a powdery soft snow.
Mhm.
So we don't want to risk the dog's feet getting cut up or, any kind of pain to the dog while they're dragging.
Mhm.
So if there is snow on the ground, typically I use the carpet mill like an indoor drag session. And you can even put the dog in the weight pull harness and attach the weight pull harness to like a door, or if you have like a beam in your basement or, a column on your front porch, and simulate an indoor or steady drag with the carpet
Yeah,
mill.
awesome.
And again, I do love a slat mill,
Mhm.
and I do use it, but it is not quite the same. If you gave me the choice, I would pick a carpet mill over a slat mill any day.
Yeah, yeah, awesome. Awesome.
So,
Yeah, for sure. So, across sort of Australia in particular, we're once again in the last couple of years, as I mentioned, we're starting to see some more and more in regards to slat mills and also very low level use of carpet mills. But it's something that I just wanted to briefly speak about before we sort of wrap things up. Look, I think we've crammed a heap in a very short period of time, and I am
I
very
know, yeah. These things are never long enough. Like I could keep talking for days. Like, especially me, I'm a talker. So, and like I said, there's like so much stuff, and weight pull is just so beneficial to so many dogs.
Mhm.
And it's really just an outlet for so many things. And it's such a great sport. And I truly love it. And your bond with your dog truly shines. And I can't say enough great things about weight pull. And I really wish more people would get in on board with it and get into it.
For sure, and like I said, that was the primary one of the primary goals to have a conversation with you, and I really appreciate it. So before we wrap things up, I know that like I said I could also talk for days about this with you as well,
Right.
but
Yes, absolutely. Anybody could.
what if someone wanted to either reach out or get involved with weight pulling, obviously we're worldwide here, but if they were local or where's the best place for them to go and either find online or find out some more information?
So you can either go to one of the big pulling organizations. So, for instance, the United Pulling Federation, so the UPF, or they have reps that go that are in charge of certain sections. Obviously, that's only in America.
Hmm.
They do have a Italy section and stuff, but any anyone that is listed on any of the organizations as a judge would be more than happy to help you. I'm more than happy to help anyone if they reach out to me on Facebook.
Hmm.
Um, I want to see the sport grow and I want to see great things, but any organization that you guys have, go on their website, look for reps, look for, you know, judges, look for whoever and email them, reach out to them, and kind of go from there. But anyone will be more than happy to help you. I know there's quite a few pulling organizations here. Like we have UPF is my number one, and then ADBA,
Mhm.
and then there is like smaller ones like Iron Dog and APA. But yes, reach out, go on their website, find the list. There's always a list of judges. There's always a list of representatives. There's always a list of things, and just reach out to those people, and they will be more than happy to help you.
Yeah, fantastic. So I just want to, the final word, Eric. I want to say very, from the bottom of my heart, thank you very much for finding the time. Obviously, late at the evening, there in the States. So I wanted to, it's been a fantastic opportunity to chat. You can tell that we both get excited about this, and
I know, yeah. That's
um,
the best part is like we both get all excited, and yes, absolutely.
But hopefully, our listeners out there can take something away, and then do their own research and go from there. And obviously, we've talked about harnesses, we've talked about bully max, but there's a lot of stuff that we've talked about today. So, like I said, thank you very much for finding the time.
Yes, thank you guys for having me. It's been so great. And if anybody wants to find me on Facebook and ask me any questions, please feel free. I'm happy to help you guys. There is a translate button on Facebook if it's anybody from another country that doesn't speak English. I'm happy to help in any way I can.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you very much once again. Just if you've liked what you've heard today on the episode, please give it a share on all the social medias, and we will talk to you soon.
Thank you.